Hi and welcome back. It's Laura at Hyperstamper. I have finished another one. I'm on a roll this week. This one is a very special cover. This book is vintage and it has just the best colors and graphics on it. And it's Hans Andersen's fairy tale book. And I've added some lovely vintage beads that I thought complemented the cover and the colors. And this is a piece of unraveled embroidery that actually encircled this piece here that came undone. And a little vintage, what was a vintage earring, now sits inside the flower here, and some vintage lace and newer trim. I love it. It's a very, very stuffed journal. So let's take a little tour inside this lovely bit. So I had to add a fairy piece, of course. And this is from Fanciful Tales and Poems book from the 40s. And that is Killarney. And these are the original first pages of the book here. And it is from the 60s, so vintage. And these are the original plates that were in the book. So I thought they should live with the book. The Princess and the Pea. And then this one is Boy Carved Out of the Clear White Stone. Really, really special full color plates there. Little poem down here, a secret journaling spot there. Here's from a 1920s songbook for He's a Jolly Good Fellow. I just thought that was fun. I put that in there. And of course, another beautiful fairy piece from a children's book from the 1930s, The Woodman's Axe. And I added some antique paper on the back for another little journaling spot there. Let's tuck that in. So everything in here, of course, is real antique ephemera and vintage, mostly antique, and just a few tea-dyed pages that are not new. Here is a lovely, it's actually a glossy postcard, which was not common back in the early 1900s. This one is from 1909. Is that beautiful? And that is just a very, very precious there. And then this is 1938 Paris, France Almanac page, double-sided, of course, from May. And that was during World War II. Really fun little sweetheart pocket there I made. And then over here is a 1920s song sheet, Someday. Isn't that pretty? It was so brittle that I put another vintage book page on the back to give you more journaling space. And this here, lovely piece, is from the 1890s, and it is a stereoscope. So the double one gave you a 3D look when you used a stereoscope projector, and not projector, sort of like a Viewmaster type thing, but way older. And that was a Japanese scene. So that would have been like a souvenir card. And this is a photograph, a wedding photo, which I love, from the 50s. Isn't that beautiful? And in really good condition. That came from actually a family I know. And just some Canadian birch bark here, which I thought was fun. A vintage recipe book and a vintage bird page with herons. And there's a lovely bit from a home economics book. And another children's book page here. Here's a plate out of a 1920s book, another fairy tale book. And just a little booklet here with antique papers in it for extra journaling. Stuffed that back here. I try to put as many pockets as I can in. Here's one made out of some vintage doily. And here's a little teeny tiny journal here, just for fun. And a very old vintage playing card. That is the Joker. And I've been saving that one for this very special journal. More children's book pages. And in here, I've added some pressed hydrangea. Isn't that lovely? And that is tucked into the pocket from another children's book page, The Wonders of a Pond. And that is mounted on a 1950s stamp collector's book page. And you can see the original stamps there, vintage stamps and antique stamps on the pages on hinges here. And another antique music sheet. Here is just a little plate from an antique book. And just you can journal on both sides of that, or collage it, use it for your artwork, anything. It's all yours to do whatever you please with it. And here's just a wonderful page of horses and animals. That is from a book called I Wonder Why. And tuck that back in here. Wonderful little collages and clusters all throughout, I think. Bragging a bit, I guess. Here's a vintage book page Just a really pretty illustration and lots more journaling space. And look at this cool page from an encyclopedia. The Earth as a whole. I just love the images there. I love maps and those globe images. Let's keep going here. This pocket here made out of a 1930s children's book page as well. But one of these are precious. My sister gave me a book of these. It's a single student's book, and it is their, oh, look at this, Ode to Maestro. Wow. And so I think it's an original piece done in pen and ink from January 14th, 1910. Isn't that beautiful? And I would love to know what that sounds like instrumentally. Is that a word, instrumentally? Let's say it is. I love making up words. Okay, this is from a 1940s magazine. And it's got just the best advertisements. Just hilariously out of date, but timeless the same way. I just love old advertisements. I think they're hysterical. And 1930s Monopoly money that I tried to put a Monopoly piece in all my journals. Another great cluster, 78 stamp there from America. And a vintage botanical sheet hidden in beside here. The Beacon Lodge ledger, 1951. This is all different expenses here. We've got entertainment committees, funeral committees, convenient committee. It's just so cool. Here's a great vegetable gardening page from a children's book. And a cross-stitch pattern, vintage. There's another one of those ledger sheets. Look how fun these are. Look at that page from this botanicals book. I love it. I love it so much. And more tea-dyed paper here. And lace, sewing pattern instructions. And this awesome piece here is from Player Piano. And the words would have scrolled up through a little window so you could read the words and sing along to the piano playing. The ghost piano playing, I guess. And this is an early 1900s book that is on medieval costumes. And this is a woman of the time of Richard III, 1483. Look at that. And that's the original onion paper there. Look at this pretty little children's book page that I turned into a pocket. And this is a print that came out of Nova Scotia. And it is in a place called Lunenburg. And it is spectacular. I love it. I really do. I love it so much. I actually had two of them. They were the only two that the lady who sold them to me knew of. Polly Pepper's book. I've had this for a long time because that was a journal from about 3 years ago. And I've been wanting to use this first page of it. And there it is now. It lives in here. McCall's pattern. And that brings us to almost the end. These are the original last pages of the book, and I left them in because I liked the names of all the different fairy tales and books about fairy tales. And this is from 1948, The Listener. And I just think it's a beautiful piece. And I think that you will enjoy reading through that and looking at the images and artwork. And that brings us to the end. So it's going on Etsy now. I hope you enjoy it. It's hyperstamper.etsy.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you can see them first. Bye for now.